Hi there, this is Craig and this is another mindfulness video. The theme for this one is consumption, and hopefully I've done a bit of tech here where I've got the sheet on view, and so you can see the sheet that I'm talking about. Um, so we'll start by talking about the sheet and then we'll finish as we do with a meditation, hopefully to ground ourselves and keep ourselves nice and calm going forward for our day. So, what do I mean by consumption in mindfulness? Well, the picture there's a person, and there's four ways that we consume as humans. The most obvious one in that list is food we eat. So you could sort of say that if we're eating a lot of the same thing, that our body responds in a way. So if you're eating a lot of junk food, for example, you'll find after a while of eating that your body will feel a bit heavy and want vegetables and want fruit and things like that. So what we consume can affect our body. And actually, as well as food, what else we consume can also affect how we feel. So we have our senses as well, the top one in that list. So as well as our five senses, we've also got awareness, which kind of encapsulates everything. It's an amazing sense that we can just detect things with our bodies. We notice how we feel. We can notice what we think. We can see and touch and taste and hear and smell, all these amazing senses that we have and we consume with these senses. So with your eyes, you're always consuming things. Like just now, you're watching this video, so you're consuming this video. If you watch a lot of news, you consume the news, or if you watch a lot of horror movies, you consume horror movies. Or if you play a lot of video games, then you're consuming those too. So all of these things affects us. The more we watch a certain thing, our brain kind of interprets it in a more habitual way, and we get used to what we see. So, for example, if you are watching a lot of kind of horror or action movies, and it's got lots of fast imagery and sometimes disturbing imagery, the first time you will watch a movie like that, you'd be a little bit taken aback. But after a while, you just get used to it. It's the kind of thing that you watch, and it's not causing you particularly too much bother. But what's also happening is if you're watching the news, for example, and it's filled with negative ideas, perhaps, or you're noticing anxiety because you're watching lots of things that are going wrong in the world. That's also feeding your anxiety and feeding your nerves. So it is interesting that what we consume can actually create emotional responses, and these responses are remembered by the brain going forward. So that's what I'm talking about with consumption. There's also doing consumption, which you could call your intentions. And this is an interesting point because our intentions are sometimes out of our love base or out of our fear base. And in previous videos on the ego, so if you go to the ego circle versus the Zen circle, for example, you'll see two different types of intention. The ego is fear-based because there's a threat, so we deal with a threat with our intention. Love base is more to do with gratitude and generosity and acceptance of what's happening, and we have intentions that way. So an example would be giving a gift to someone, and if you're a love-based intention, you're giving that gift without needing thanks, without any kind of recompense for it. You're just giving to give. That's a love-based intention. Sorry. If you're doing it in order to get something back, then that's a fear-based emotion, a fear-based intention. So doing again what our intentions are. If a lot of our intentions are fear-based, then we're consuming more fear, basically. But the one I want to talk about more today is consciousness, the fourth one in that list. And Buddhists call these mental formations. It's a nice way of describing it. And so our consciousness you could describe as your thinking, your thoughts, and we consume our thoughts as well. So if our thoughts are filled with lots of negativity, lots of worries about the future or lots of frustrations over the past, then we're also consuming those pasts and those futures and also increasing our emotional response to these things. So this is why in mindfulness it's really good to start to notice your thinking. And this is what is basically what this diagram here that I'm just scrolling down to is about. So here in the middle there's a person. They look relatively happy at the moment, but they've got an external trigger. So something's happened, an event has happened in their day. So maybe someone was rude to them. Rude is a judgment, but someone shouted at this person. So what happens when that happens is our brain, our subconscious response goes to what's called the store consciousness, which is here on the right hand side on that diagram. And you could say in that store consciousness, you could think of it as a garden, and your mind is filled with plants and seeds of various things. So there's an anger plant, there's a jealousy plant, a love plant, an understanding plant. There's also a mindfulness plant, which is nice. So you could say that we've all got different gardens and we all respond to certain situations dependent on our consumption of the past, what we've consumed, how we've consumed things in the past. So, for example, an angry person would have maybe been brought up in an angry environment or would have been closer to people who were angry, so that response has been through our sort of senses or what we've heard in the past has created more anger in us. We're more quick to anger because we've seen it, we've seen other people do it. Plus, it may have also got us out of a tricky situation in the past when we were angry, so it becomes a defense mechanism in order to escape or get over something that's happening now. So you could say for angry people, the anger plant is big, is strong in that person. So what this diagram's trying to say is when something happens, if we're not being mindful, we just go straight to our store consciousness, and that picks the biggest plant, puts it in our head. So it takes the seeds, it grows in us, and it grows as an emotion. So there we are, anger. Someone was shouting at you, so you're angry. So your body will be generating anger. And then that goes into your current mind consciousness, which is what you're thinking about now. So, and then there's changes, it shifts. The diagram is saying that things always change, you're not going to be angry forever, so it will shift. But often the store, the subconscious, is what we pick, or what our brain picks to respond to a situation. So with mindfulness, if we're cultivating mindfulness, if we're really practicing mindfulness, you're growing that plant within you. So practice becomes perfect. So you get better at your awareness grows and your mindfulness grows, and then you start to see what it is you're thinking, what it is you're feeling. And this is really good because this can sometimes interrupt this store consciousness situation, and you can start to respond in a mindful way, in a more love-based intention rather than a fear-based intention. But at least we have the choice to be able to do that. So just scrolling down from that, these are the things to kind of do to practice changing our consumption. So we've all got this garden in our heads. So the first one there, and there's a picture of a watering can. It says, water the positive seeds in you and in others. So what that means is you're watering love-based plants like kindness, like gratitude, like generosity, like compassion, like love, like mindfulness. And so you can practice being kind to yourself. That's watering your kindness plant. It'll get bigger in your mind. You can water your confident plant. You can water your compassion plant. So if you see someone in need, you can maybe help, or you can think of a way to share something or give them something. And whenever you sit and meditate and just be, you're also watering calmness and peacefulness in you, and gentleness and gracefulness and kindness for yourself. So water your positive seeds, your plant garden in your mind will start to change. Um, and also in others, if you compliment other people, that's a kind thing to do, or you help someone else, or by showing kindness to someone else, that's also feeding their kindness plant. So it's a lovely way to be. You could think of changing your consumption, the next thing on that list. So if you do watch a lot of news, for example, on the TV, and it is causing anxiety and tension, then maybe you can think about a way of changing your viewing habits. You might think, well, maybe I don't want to watch the news all the time because it's generating nerves in me. I'll pause it, or I'll just watch the headlines and then I'll come away, or I don't need to see this graphic imagery. So you can determine in your own life what it is that you're consuming visually, or with your sounds, and choose a different way, a conscious decision to try and change that consumption, just as if you were going to change food from chips to green leafy vegetables. Bring the mindfulness seed into your mind consciousness is basically just saying, be mindful whenever you can. So when we're relaxed, it's easier for us to be mindful. So just sitting with our cup of tea, or just feeling the chair that you're sitting on, or meditating, or walking mindfully in nature and feeling the sun on your face, hearing bird song. This is all practicing mindfulness and growing that awareness and growing that mindfulness seed into your mind, so that actually your store consciousness will more likely be mindful going forward into the future. So that's a good practice. Be mindful when you can. It's important to accept everything that comes into your mind, positive or negative. So as it says, so if you are angry, or you are jealous, or you are anxious, don't think of them as negative. I've put the distinction in the sheet just because we do tend to differentiate between positive and negative, but actually there is no positive or negative. There is just a feeling that comes. So at this moment, I'm angry. At this moment, I'm jealous. At this moment, I'm happy. Um, it doesn't matter what it is. The trick is to notice what it is, and then because you've noticed, you have a choice of how you respond to that. You don't respond perhaps more automatically, like in the case of someone shouting at you, you don't immediately shout back, which is maybe what an angry person would do without really thinking. This is kind of giving space. Your mindfulness gives space for you to notice that you're getting angry, but choose not to say those things, to practice your love-based intentions. It's kind of like, well, okay, I got shouted at, but I'm noticing angers within me. I don't need to shout back, because all I'm going to do then is consume their anger and give them anger back. So that's giving their anger plant a boost as well. So then you'd have two anger plants being boosted. So as a mindful person, I'm going to not retaliate. I'm not going to plot revenge or anything like that. I'm just going to, right, okay, yeah, I'm feeling something. I'll breathe with that. I'll try and calm myself down. Maybe I can say something a bit more kind or a bit more compassionate. These is never easy, but it's a good way of trying to practice mindfulness. You find the more mindfulness you practice, the easier this gets. So it says there by the watering can, practice meditation, mindful awareness in the present moment to increase your concentration. So just as I say, practice whenever you can. Practice being in the moment with your mindfulness, not judging, just being. Focusing on tasks one at a time if you can, that would be good. Increases your concentration. You're not thinking about the future or the past. You're present for what's in front of you. That's growing your mindful plant. It says avoid watering negative seeds. So again, negative is just there on the sheet for that sort of discrimination, if you like, just for understanding. But there isn't really negative seeds. But you're trying to not water your anxiety, for example, by watching the news, if that gives you anxiety, or you turn the TV over, or you're trying to not water things. You're not going to pick a fight with someone for someone or plot revenge. Again, it's all this fear-based intentions. It's noticing what drives us to do certain things. And if something is driving us out of a fear response, whether we're lying or making excuses or whatever it is, that's watering those feelings within you, and you'll still have them going forward. So what we're wanting in the future is more kindness, more compassion, more joy. So we'll water those. We're not going to water anger or anxiety or frustration. We notice if we're feeling those things. We breathe and calm them down. And in so doing, you're not growing those things. You're just noticing that you've had them, and they go away quite quickly. So that's not growing them. Growing them would be thinking about it all the time and blaming and criticizing and things like that. So whatever you're thinking as well is useful to notice. What thoughts are you watering? So yeah, it says there, I've kind of covered it, but embracing everything that comes, taking action when arising, letting go of your ego. So as I say in the Ego Circle video, when you're in your head judging something, that's ego. So you could be blaming or criticizing or getting annoyed at something, but blaming the external thing for that annoyance. What this practice is saying is stop thinking, to come out of your ego, to let go of your ego, come back to how you feel. You're annoyed. Okay, that's breathing in annoyance, my old friend, breathing out calmness. That's not growing your annoyance. You're seeing how this works. And then just at the bottom there is a quote. And this is kind of a mantra in life if you can manage it. See clearly what is emerging and embracing whatever's present without resistance, ego, or attachment. It basically means be mindful. Seeing clearly is being mindful. You're aware of where you are, how you feel, what you think. And whatever is emerging, whether it's anger or anxiety or joy, you embrace whatever comes. So if anger comes, give it a hug. If joy comes, give it a hug. It doesn't matter. There's no difference. Just whatever comes, notice it. So that's the without resistance bit. If you start blaming something or criticizing having it, or you don't want anxiety and you wish it to go away, that's resisting what's coming up for you right now. So that resistance is what's called your ego. That's your brain, and that's pushing things away, and that's no good for you. You have to let them in. So you're not resisting. Everything comes in, but you're not attaching to anything either. That's the final bit there. So you're angry, but you just be with the anger, and it goes away. You're not attaching to it. If you were attaching to it, you'd be thinking about it and be going, I don't want this anger, or I'm going to plot revenge on that person that gave me anger. That's attachment to your anger. And sometimes we have righteous anger where we're right, or we feel justified in having anger. But even then, we're attaching to it. And so we're pulled along by our anger, which is actually a fear intention. I'm going to do this back, or I'm going to have a go at this person because I'm righteous. It's still anger. It's still consuming anger. You're still growing your anger plant. So let go of attachment as well. So that's what I wanted to talk about. That's our sheet for the week. So I hope you've enjoyed my discussion of that sheet. which is part 8 of my 10-week course. But what we'll do right now is we'll finish with a meditation. So I invite you to just relax where you are, close your eyes. I have a little bell here that I will hit, and we'll just do a 10-minute meditation to finish, and then that'll be us. So here we go. So just begin by noticing your breath, noticing your in-breath and your out-breath. Feeling the air as you breathe in, feeling the air as you breathe out. Breathing in, you know you're breathing in. Breathing out, you know you're breathing out. And notice if your mind wanders away from your breath into thinking. And if it does, just smile and gently bring your focus back to your breath. Breathing in deeply, breathing out slowly. Take this moment just to notice how you're feeling as well. Feel the chair that you're sitting on and the ground under your feet. And just get a sense of how you're doing. Might be some emotion there, or maybe some aches in your body. Just shrug your shoulders and move your neck from side to side, just softening any tension. Breathing in awareness of your body. Breathing out calmness to your body. And then just expand your awareness out to include any sounds you might be hearing. Just noticing and sink into the spaces between the sounds. Again, just return to your breath. As you breathe in, just send kindness to yourself. Just thanking your body and you for everything that you do, everything that you've done to get you to where you are right now. Know that every time you send yourself kindness, you're watering your kindness plant. Just breathe out kindness into the room and into the world. May we all have peace, ease of our suffering, and know happiness. So just take another few conscious breaths. And then just when you're ready, just gently open your eyes, come back to where you are. Okay, so thank you for meditating with me and for watching this video. Incidentally, the sheet that I described you can download from www.craig-gilbert.com and just click on the video option on the front page. There's a link at the bottom. And go to number 8, consumption, and you'll find this sheet along with this video. So I hope it's been useful. And thank you for watching, and I will speak to you again another time. So take care.